So last week, in response to the hurricane problems at Key West, Florida, the most devastated region in the United States, we actually sent a team of folks who were well qualified to provide assistance over a 2-week period. They constructed, opened, facilitated housing, feeding, and supportive services for first responders, utility workers, volunteers, and other personnel were involved in this particular effort. Each of the 2 base camps were able to house over 500 personnel, provided 4 meals a day, and provided showers and laundry facilities. I can tell you that our city emergency management team is top-notch. In fact, they've been touted around the nation. I know the number of cities that wanted you all to come and provide assistance to them, but they did a stellar job. And since they were valiantly enough to actually go out and do that work, I thought it was important that we acknowledge them. And so today, Chief Niles Ford, you will announce your 2 firefighters who went on that journey.
Scott Brillman,
We're Scott.
911 Director.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm going to do you can stand, move up a little bit, get the Baltimore medal. I don't want to mess his hair up.
Thank you.
He's got a comb.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And
Andrew Doyle,
where's Andrew? Hey, Andrew.
Good morning.
assigned to the fireboat.
I know how I am about my hair.
Thank you.
And Director Steve Sharkey, where are you?
Steve Strickland, Division Chief of Facilities Maintenance.
Thank you. Well, we have no problems here. Is Rudy Childs?
Need an extra large one.
Rudy Childs not here? Okay, Rudy.
Yes. Brian McBride from our environmental police.
Okay. Here, right.
Just fit.
Thank you. Thank you. And where's Director Pushaw? Oh, Frank's going to do it.
We had 2 people that went as well. We have Caitlin McCauley and Connor Scott, who's going to be with us today.
Okay. Caitlin, I want to be well on the journey.
Yes.
Keep all these guys straight.
Someone's got
to.
to.
Somebody has to, I understand. And David?
Brian Bovaird, Director of Operations for Emergency Management.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you all for your service. We really, really appreciate it. Any questions for the team?
Can we have one of them tell us what it was like down there and what they had to deal with in the day-to-day?
Oops, not to be, I'm only joking. Brian, you want to?
Sure. So we were requested to go down there and provide support in the Keys, and it was pretty amazing how devastated it was, and especially the middle Keys where we were at Big Pine Key, where they basically all of their infrastructure was wiped out. So we were part of a team. Our team from Baltimore managed base camp, which was a large area that was meant to sustain about 500 people, 500 personnel that were coming into work because there was no infrastructure. There was nowhere to stay. And then as they move forward in their recovery, the idea is that as they could get hotels open, they wanted them for the residents to assist with FEMA so that they could do resident housing and that the responders would be put up in the base camp. So we did that, and then at some downtime, we were able to get out and did some rogue missions to help out the community. We went and helped some people clear out their trailers and their homes because it was just unbelievable the amount of debris, and you would drive down the road for a couple miles and just the roads were piled with debris. All the residents would just put it out on the curb, and then eventually they'll get to clearing it all. So that was our main priority.
How long were you there?
2 weeks.
And this was Irma, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, there's been a few.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, can I ask,
And of course, we applaud the efforts of all the first responders and people who have been down there right now. A lot of states are also very much concerned about our actual southern territory, which is Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, that have been the hardest hit, and those are U.S. citizens. Is there any plan for Baltimore City to help those residents down there? I know a lot of states have...
In fact, there are, and so we're working, I know our police department is also sending folks down there, our fire department, so we're working up a team for them as well. Okay?
Sir, what was the most emotional thing you saw down there? I mean, I'm sure there's kids and families that just touched your heart.
Yeah. Yep, sorry about that. The most emotional thing was probably just seeing all of the families that were sitting in their front yard with nothing. A lot of the residents, when you talk to them, they really prided themselves on being kind of island people and strong and loving their community and where they are. So just to go through the neighborhoods that were demolished, but people were, you know, in a lawn chair they found or whatever, sitting in their front yards, just kind of trying to figure out what to do next. It was pretty unbelievable.
And when did you return?
We came back on, what date did we come back? The 3rd, October 3rd. Yep.
And so did you go right away? How did you get dispatched? Like how did the call come from Baltimore to get involved in something?
Sure, good question. So there's a federal process that kind of FEMA oversees, and it's state to state. So the Maryland Emergency Management Agency gets all of the requests, no matter what it is, what state, and then they pass it along to the jurisdictions. So Director McMillan from Office of Emergency Management is the person that gets those requests and then kind of farms that out through the city to see if we're able to fulfill that request.
You should say and spell your first and last name.
Sure, it's Brian Bovaird, Brian Bovaird, Director of Operations for the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management.
So, you know, this really is a selection process as well, and so we know that we've already, you know, we're ready for Puerto Rico as well, but there is a federal process that they go through, and the police department specifically is very much interested. I don't know whether you know that we recruited from Puerto Rico for a number of officers, so they're already ready to go. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Carol? So let me begin by thanking the members of the homeless work group who worked together looking at solutions for dealing with homelessness in our city. I know that they completed there was a study that was commissioned, I believe it was in 2015, and it talked about the city needing at least 565 units of permanent supportive housing and 2,130 rapid rehousing slots. But I can tell you that I really do believe that is understated. When I think about the recent homeless house count in terms of number of people who are sleeping on our streets, and what I think that we've talked about is what we need to do and what is being done. But let me just thank the members, Terry Hickey of Human Services, Chairwoman Heike Hubbard, Damian Hausman, Jeff Hedelman, Tommy Ears, Amy Klein, Kevin Linderwood, Ingrid Lofgren, Janice Miller, and Molly Tiernan. So, you know, there's been a lot of conversations around homelessness, and as you well know, that as the mayor of this city, I've been confronted with at least 65 individuals who slept out in front of City Hall for a number of days, asking for a solution to the homelessness that they were individually dealing with. And so I had conversations with a couple of those folks and went out and talked with people who were in those encampments. And I tell folks, you have to treat homelessness as if it were you. You know, what would you want if you were sleeping on the streets of a city? And what kind of services should we be providing? And so let me just say that the group that we work with, and I call it my experimental community, because there are folks who really care not just about their homelessness, but about others. And when I think about going over there on a regular basis, where we currently have them, and some of them have already moved out, especially the women with children, because we want to make sure that we put them in housing as quickly as we possibly could. But I can tell you that there are folks who get up and go to work every day. There's some folks who have drug addiction issues. There's some folks who have mental health issues. And I find myself now daily when I'm riding down the street, rolling down the window, and not just offering a bottle of water, but finding out where some of these people are from. And I can tell you just last week, Harford County, Howard County, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, there are a lot of folks sleeping on the streets of our city. And so when we talk about what the federal government is looking at and what we should be looking at, it really is about creating homes for the homeless. I think what we've not done up to this point is talked about what does that cost? What does that really mean? When people talk about, I'm very supportive of the Journey Home, for example, very supportive of our HOT team that's out on the streets every day. But when we say we're going to end homelessness, what does that really mean? So I can tell you, for example, working with Helping Up Mission that's building a facility for 300 people to be able to live in housing and to be provided services. That's $35 million for 300 people. So if you were to ask me what's the cost of actually ending homelessness in Baltimore, it's $350 million. And so the question becomes, where is that going to come from, and when are we going to put that together, and over what period of time are we going to provide that kind of housing? The federal government has said to us and has said to this nation that you really need to look at how do you provide housing for individuals. When Enterprise is building their facility up on Liberty Heights, a portion of that housing is dedicated to the chronically homeless individuals. And so we've got to put together a plan that really addresses homelessness in a more meaningful way. And so I'm excited about what we will do in the future, because among the things that we will do is hire a director for just homelessness in our city to work with us on our goals and objectives. So we're currently recruiting for that position. I want to really lay out the plan, the cost, and take it to the business community and philanthropic community and talk about over what period of time do we do this. I can tell you that through the Journey Home, we probably raise somewhere near $500,000 to $1 million a year. That won't end homelessness in the city of Baltimore. We know that. But I'm very supportive of what Helping Up Mission is doing. They expect to build there, at least break ground for their facility. So we know that we will reduce homelessness in Baltimore by about 10% through that facility alone. And so my goal is to see us to do much more than that, but I believe that it takes real courage and planning and commitment on our behalf, and understanding what the real problems are, and understanding that by the grace of God, it could be any of us. And so, again, I just want to say thank you all for all the work that you've done. The Journey Home benefit takes place on Saturday, October the 21st. This is a great opportunity to invest in programs, and there at the Journey Home, I will talk to the philanthropic community, the business community, about what it really needs and what this really takes to end homelessness in Baltimore. And for now, you can text the word together, followed by the amount, and your name, 41444, if you want to give to that particular effort. But we're going to strengthen our homeless programs here in the city of Baltimore. And again, I want to thank all of you all who've worked on this and understand that this is not a problem that goes away overnight, but it is something that we have to commit to. But I'm as committed to this as I am to revitalizing Baltimore in a strong and healthy way. Tara?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everybody. So the mayor's asked that I just flesh out a few elements of the plan. The work group spent. Yeah, so we're going to jump right in. I want to thank the mayor for her leadership on this issue, and I want to start where the mayor left off, which is the idea that this plan has to be about permanent housing for homeless individuals. I want to address your attention to the chart over here that came with the work group report. It talks about the flow. And the idea is people not getting stuck in any part of our homelessness system. So it's getting people off the streets quickly, giving them emergency shelter space or alternatives to shelter, but then really focusing on the 3 houses all the way over there to the right. Those are permanent housing solutions. So we're talking about rapid rehousing, which is short to medium term rental support and wraparound, job skills training, mental health, addiction counseling, help with their kids, placement in schools, things that get people back on their feet quickly. Rapid rehousing is a housing first model. Thanks to the mayor's support, we're planning on doubling the resources that go into rapid rehousing this year. That's going to allow us to house at least an additional 170 individuals this coming year, with the mayor's plan to continue to increase that fund. We're also looking, Mayor talked about public-private partnerships. We're looking to increase investment in innovative local projects like a local housing choice voucher program that we're going to be looking into over the coming months. We have to increase our inventory of permanent supportive housing. To that end, we're going to work with the Continuum of Care's Housing Committee to get a firm number on exactly how much housing do we need in Baltimore City to move forward, what does it cost, and under the mayor's leadership, bringing public and private partnerships together for a very specific plan on how to bring that housing online. And if you want to flow through the system, you need navigation, you need help. People need to know where to go. So we're bringing online a coordinated access system, which would be a front door for every individual in the city to go when they need help. We also need navigation throughout the system, housing navigation, outreach to landlords, the ability to incentivize landlords to provide decent, safe housing. While we're doing this, I just want to mention one last thing. We're going to be taking a close look under the mayor's guidance at our emergency sheltering system. Permanent housing is the answer, but getting there means we can do better and we can do more. We're going to be working with the Consumer Advisory Committee, several of whom of the members are here today. Mayor and I will meet with them to get their input on how we can make shelters better, how we can get people moving through our shelters more quickly, and how we can make it more about customer service from the minute they come through the door. So with that, I want to thank the members of the work group as well. I want to thank particularly Tina Hike-Hubbard, the chair of the work group, who took a lot of time to help pull the group together, keep them going, and I want to bring her up to say a couple words.
Good morning. First, I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Pugh and thank you for all you continue to do to address homelessness as a top priority and increase community awareness on the realities of homeless and galvanize public support for more effective solutions. With the creation of your mayoral work group on homelessness, you assembled business, nonprofit leaders, community members, public officials, philanthropists, and people with experience in homelessness to set a framework for identifying priorities and understanding best practices for how to move forward. We also thank you for your initiative to establish the work group, review and accept its report, and reconfirm your commitment to the issues. I feel compelled to participate in the work group because I care deeply about the children and families in our city, and the work group members as well all believe that homelessness is solvable. Thank you to the work group members and other contributors for attending meetings, developing ideas, working together to create recommendations included in this report. And finally, we know that solutions to homelessness not only require mayor's leadership, but also the conviction and commitment of each of us. We are eager to work together towards a vibrant, equitable, and socially just city where everyone has a place to call home. Thank you again.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to say anything? Okay. Again, let me just say that one of the things that I really believe has been missing from this whole journey is the cost and the commitment. I mean, the commitment of it's going to end in 3 years or it's going to end in 5 years is just not enough. You got to put dollars and cents to all of that. And again, having sat down with some folks, not just in our city, but in other cities across the country, you know, if you're really going to adhere to what the federal government says, and if you're really going to adhere to the needs of the people, it's about creating homes for the homeless. And so again, you know, as I speak at the city level, as I talk to businesses and companies and corporations, and even when I'm addressing folks at the national level, you know, I believe that America has to really change its policies around homelessness and the poor. And you know, when you go to other cities like Philadelphia, you can't tell public housing, for example, from regular housing, but not here. So the question becomes, how are you going to transform housing, period? And how you're going to create affordable housing for all the people who live in your city. And so I believe that when we address the fact that for some folks, public housing may be the best that they can get, we have a responsibility to make sure that it is the best. And at the same time, we will begin to look at, you know, what else do we need to do? Because the idea that the 3,000 people sleeping on our streets are ultimately going to get into public housing is not even being realistic when the rolls are so long. And that's why my focus is on creating homes for the homeless. Thank you all. Thank you.
Can we, before anybody leaves, ask a question on the issue of the dependence on federal funding? I mean, Baltimore is 7 times higher than San Francisco. You know, twice as much as Seattle, or twice as much as Philadelphia, 3 times as much as Seattle. I mean, what is that about?
You mean in terms of the number of people?
What that tells me is that the city has relied almost
solely on federal funding, right? And
without local,
right, and which is what I'm saying.
investment.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying is that there has to be local investment, and it has to be private dollars invested. We cannot, just rely on federal dollars to solve the problems that cities are facing. And when you look at what Portland, Oregon is doing, and when you look at what other cities are doing, they're coupling resources from the city along with private and philanthropic organizations working together. And I think here, even though we rely on federal dollars for shelters, we're not using money to create homes for the homeless. And so it is about how do you work with the philanthropic communities, organizations like Helping Up Mission. Even when I had conversations with some developers, they said we're willing to pitch in, but somebody's got to lay that out and say, here's what it takes and this is what it costs. And that's where I am right now.
Madam Mayor, you talked about Helping Up Mission. I just wondered if somebody could talk more about that. Is that funded by the city or sort of supported or kind of applauded by the city?
It's mostly, is anybody here? It's mostly private fundraising. They've raised most of their money privately. It is a $35 million facility that's being built in the city, and it will house about 300 people.
So as far as city funding, it's the money for the rapid rehousing for an additional, what did you say, 170?
170 individuals.
Could somebody talk a little bit more about what that is? What are the criteria for that, and who will be able to?
Sure. We're going to put out some more detailed statements about the individual pieces of this over the next few weeks.
So that's the only additional actual units funded as a result of the new policy?
There's going to be investment in rapid rehousing, but also a significant increased investment in street outreach and case management. That's all going to help with this flow piece.
Yeah, but I'm focused on how we raise the additional dollars for, if 35 million is what gets you to reduce homelessness by 10%, then where's the other 35 and the other 35 and the other 35? The $350 million has to be the number that we're looking at.
Where's the money coming from in these other cities?
Private and because business has a stake in this. Business has a stake in it, so this has been philanthropic, it's been businesses, it's been foundations, national foundations have participated in this as well.
I mean, that's an enormous difference.
Right, which we've not done. We've not done that. We've not looked at what that cost and where that money comes from.
Is it realistic to expect the nonprofit sector to pick up that large amount?
Philanthropic and business. Philanthropic and business.
Well, is it realistic to expect them to?
It's realistic to expect state, federal, city, philanthropic, and business communities and national foundations to participate in this. Absolutely.
What's the current budget for homeless services in the city right now? How much are we spending as a city?
So
Sir, I'm sorry, can you step over?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Sure. The HUD funding budget is about $24 million, and the city invests about another $10 million in general funds, primarily around our emergency sheltering program and other services like outreach that's been expanded by $500,000 in the last couple of years. And then there's some other pieces, so I can share the specific numbers with you too.
Does this plan come with any increased funding from the city, or mainly just the desire to raise money from the private sector?
Well, here's what we're looking, we haven't even gotten into next year's budget. We're looking at our budgeting process. We're looking at what we can add to this. But I do know, but knowing what those numbers are and then evaluating over what period of time we'll be able to add X dollars to it. I mean, we just had to do $190 million for the schools. And so, I mean, nobody's putting dollars and cents to the problems that the city is facing. Even when you look at the number of board of houses in the city, I mean, they're actually assets to the city. So if you're going to redevelop those houses, if you're going to create an additional tax base, what are we doing and at what cost? And that's how I'm looking at everything. So you'll see me as we move forward talk about the cost of reducing the number of board of houses in our city, the cost of reducing homelessness on our streets, and the ability to go out and lure that kind of support to the city of Baltimore. People want to be helpful, but they need to know what they're helping, and they need to see the change that they're investing in.
Could we hear from the task force a little bit about what the conclusions and recommendations were?
We'll give you a copy of it, okay? Because I've got 4 other things that I need to address, okay?
With the $35 million, is that just to build for 300 people?
It's the $35 million also comes along with the services, the wraparound services that will be included there as well.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have a timeline for when you're looking to fix that?
The,
350?
no. Mm-mm.
And sir, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Terry Hickey. I'm the director of the Mayor's Office of Human Services.
HICKEY.
HICKEY.
You didn't talk about the 2020.
Thank you.
the 20 million for jobs and 20 million for housing and the
All
housing
of
trust
that.
fund.
Right, we'll talk about it.
Do you have anything to say on Pender Hughes? Is that going to continue as a facility in use by the city? And
No, that's actually a code.
or what's happening with
It's a Code Blue facility. It will be a Code Blue facility where we have a plan to help move those folks towards rapid rehousing.
will the current director continue to be directing that facility?
We're working with everybody that's at Pender Hughes currently.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, come on up, you all. This looks like a pretty fit crew, don't you think? So this is, so as you well know, I like bringing good news to the city, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you all to Jacob Turney. He's the founder of Give Fit, who I met at Beta City's pitch competition. Did anybody go to the pitch competition? Really great this year. Well, I'll wait till after they leave. Give Fit is a nonprofit whose mission it is to build healthy communities with high quality, free is the operative word, group fitness classes. So you all do this one? No, okay. So let me just introduce Jake Turney, and he'll tell us a little bit more about it. Jake.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pugh. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
And to be a part of this. And as
Is there a test for the media to see how fit they are?
well, I'd like to invite you all to
We could wrestle with a few.
some of our workouts coming up. I'd love to see you there. So as Mayor Pugh stated, my name is Jake Tunney, and I'm the founder of Give Fit, and JakeTunney. I was told I was supposed to spell my name. And as she so eloquently stated, we build healthy communities with free group fitness classes all around the city, and we're a nonprofit, and we work with a number of other awesome nonprofits who've been so kind to join me today. We have Nyla Bautista and Floyd with Volo City, who connect communities with free youth sports and free meals. Jeffrey Blake with Mission Fit, who empowers and strengthens Baltimore's youth and educates the next coaches. And we also have Miss Coco and Kevin McCloskey from Living Classrooms, who build and empower communities in East Baltimore with health and wellness classes. And we also have a few marketing colleagues here, Stephen Krakauer and Ashia Vaughn, to help get the word out there through marketing. And we're pleased to announce we just launched our brand new app. So I'll wait while everyone takes out their phone. And also, people at home, download it in the App Store. It's on Google Play, and you can find all the free fitness classes that we help promote through these organizations and many more. And thanks again for Mayor Pugh for having us. And as a parting gift, and well, it's free, so it's not too much of a gift, but it would be a great gift from you to cordially invite you to next Wednesday, free workout at 6:30 a.m. on Rash Field.
I start at 5, so it doesn't matter.
Well, at 5:30 a.m. they also have another one if that works better.
Okay, all right.
So November Project at 6:30 a.m. I'd love to have you there, and anyone else in the room is welcome to come.
That was not a part of the script, but okay.
So again, thank you very much for having me, and I hope to just get the word out more about all these awesome programs going on in Baltimore that we look to promote through our app and website, social media, and thanks again for having us.
Great. Next week, huh? Right, okay.
It's a really good workout.
I love it, okay.
What made you start this?
So when I started it because I noticed a need for more social inclusion around Baltimore and different neighborhoods. And fitness, in my opinion, is the healthiest, best way to get people moving and working together and building healthy relationships that ultimately improves the health of our city.
Sounds like a plan.
The project is not new. That is
No, that's
in Boston, right?
Yep.
There was one in DC. So have you just started the November project here in Baltimore? Or?
No, these have all been going on. The other reason I started it is also as a way to bring together in a really coherent, one single source calendar, free fitness calendar, that instead of having to go to numerous different websites and make your own calendar. We provide a single source for all the different information, all the different free fitness classes going on at any time. So you can plug into our app and see those going on right there at your fingertips.
So the earliest class is at,
5:30.
and the latest class is?
6 p.m. at night. We have a lot of dance classes around then, yoga.
All right. Okay, might get some yoga mats out in front of City Hall.
Yeah,
Okay, all
I'd
right.
love it.
Thank you. They do it in Central Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
New
can do
York
that.
has 200 free fitness classes a
Right.
week, so we're looking to bolster that in Baltimore.
We can do it. I'm challenging you all, 200. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. One more. So today, I'm really happy to welcome back the McDonald's family to City Hall. They're doing some really great things in Baltimore. I'm not sure whether you're aware of the Ronald McDonald House that's being built right down the street on Fayette Street. I was there for the groundbreaking, and so we look forward to the opening. And I'm joined by Sandy Pagnotti. She's the president and CEO of Ronald McDonald House right here in Baltimore, the charities. And then Phil Cronin, the regional manager of the U.S. Government Relations McDonald's Corporation. Thank you for being here as well. And Greater Baltimore McDonald's owners, I don't know if they're here, but I know, okay. Denitra and Mark are here. And I'm just really grateful because I think it's been like 34 years of Ronald McDonald's House. Charities of Baltimore have provided more than 40,000 families a haven of comfort to support a home-like atmosphere while their seriously ill children are being treated at local hospitals. And they are working to meet this growing need in Baltimore. It's a 60,000 square foot house is being built in what we call Jonestown, neighborhood of Baltimore, at 1 Asker Street, more than doubling the size of the existing house to meet an urgent and growing demand for housing for these families who have to spend sometimes years here. And it was really great to be at the event and hear from the individuals who were there, the families that were there, about the kind of care that is given at the Ronald McDonald House. But I can tell you the other thing that I enjoyed hearing was how people talked about coming to Baltimore and becoming a part of our community and how well they were treated. So again, thank you for being such great ambassadors, but for more importantly, for providing the kind of care that so many are in need of. And so today we declare this Ronald McDonald Charities Day here in Baltimore, and thank you so much for all that you do. And I thought you might want to share a few words with us.
Thank you. I'm Sandy Pagnotti, President and CEO of the Ronald McDonald House, and honored to be here today. Just about a mile to the west, we have 35 families staying with us who are here in Baltimore because their child is receiving treatment at one of our world-class pediatric hospitals. Every night we turn away probably 35 plus families because we don't have room. So about a quarter of a mile to the east of here, we are building a 60,000 square foot, $31 million new Ronald McDonald House. And if you leave here and want to go by, there's a huge crane, and we have 2 levels of parking underneath that are complete, and they are currently laying the floor. So within the next probably 60 days, the house is going to start coming up out of the ground. So for us, we are so thrilled to be able to say our goal, our dream is to never say no to a family in crisis, and to be able to help everyone who needs us. And as the mayor said, the one thing we hear all the time, Baltimore, across the world, sometimes maybe there's messages being put out there that about our community. What we can tell you from the Ronald McDonald House is every one of those 1,500 families who come through our doors every year go back across the country and across the world and say, Baltimore is beautiful, the people there loved us, they carried us through a terrible time, and it's a wonderful place, and we are very proud of that as well. So thank you for doing this, and especially this morning, I want to thank our McDonald's owner-operators who are the foundation of what we do. And today, if you get your French fries, your burgers, your shakes, your sodas, 25% of all of the products sold today, they're going to donate back to the construction of the new Ronald McDonald House. And last year, that turned out to be about $250,000. So this is no small deal. We hope you're all really hungry. Spread the word. And again, 25%, and that is because of our McDonald's partners. And also, Chief Ford was a bonus to us us today because he was here for something else, but he's actually on our board of directors. So we're really happy to have you here with us as well. So thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Sandy, when do you expect to open the new house?
We are hopeful the construction should be complete in the first quarter of 19. So we will start moving families over, and I would say probably March of 2019.
And this will be the second Ronald McDonald House in Baltimore, or does this replace?
What we'll do, so we're currently over by the Lexington Market. What'll happen is we will move our operations so that we're going to double the capacity. We'll all be in one location, and then the University of Maryland will take over our building.
Bill, did you want to share a few words? Anybody? Bill?
Just a quick remark. Just in addition to what Sandy said, another way to donate for those who are listening, our donation boxes, which you may have seen in our drive-thrus and in our stores, every year worldwide we collect more than $48 million through those donations. So to put it in perspective, 25 cents or more per McDonald's location could provide around 38,000 children a place to stay in one of our homes. So thank you in advance. Please keep an eye out for those donation boxes and give what you can. Thank you.
Okay.
It's all the McDonald's, before I tweet it out, it's all McDonald's?
In the greater Baltimore
In
area.
Baltimore, okay.
Yep, greater Baltimore area. And if anybody ever wants a tour of the construction site, just let me know. We're happy to share it with you. And hard hats and, that's included. Yeah, I'm sure I do, yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Joey, let me go. Let's get it out. No props for me.
Have you figured out if the results of the administrative proceedings with the officers in the Freddie Gray case that are likely to take place with the trial board proceedings, have you figured out with the city solicitor whether you can make that outcome public?
I think we're asking the city solicitor to take a look at that on the outcomes, whether we can make them public. I think you're in the process of taking a look at that.
I guess the question is the city a complainant?
Police department.
No.
Police department is the
Police
complainant.
department.
Yeah, not us.
Okay, so, because obviously the question becomes,
Transparency.
right,
Right.
is that people can see the proceeding, right? But through the law,
Right.
the only party that is entitled to know the outcome is the complainant. That's what the state law states.
Yeah,
Am I correct about
and
that?
so we've asked the city solicitor to take a look at that to see if in fact, we can provide the public with additional information.
Is this a concern of yours that?
Well, I believe in transparency, and I believe that, we should be providing the kind of access that gives the public some degree of comfort. And when we think about this whole consent decree and what we're going through and why we're going through it, part of this process is about transparency and building relationships with the community. And in this effort to build a better relationship with the community, I would think that we would want more transparency. So we've asked the city solicitor's office to take a close look at that.
Based on what you know about, if you know anything about some Officer Nero and Officer Miller, has that been resolved? Is the outcome fair? Is that, I mean, if you can't say what it is it from the city standpoint, is this a fair outcome?
Well, let me just say, I was coming into office during that period of time, and, I spent a lot of time in the streets as it relates to Freddie Gray, and I don't think there's anything that can replace the death of anybody's child, or under whatever those circumstances are. I mean, this has gone through the criminal justice system, and the criminal justice system has spoken, and the civil suits have been taken care of as well. And so I just think that we move forward, and we create as transparent of a police department that we possibly can through this consent decree and through the work that we'll be doing with the police department.
Madam Mayor, as someone in Annapolis who pushed for a civilian member on
Absolutely.
boards, how important is it for this new city police contract to contain language for this?
Well, I've made it very clear. If it's not in this contract, we'll be back in Annapolis again. I think that this is really important. It is talked about in the consent decree, the need to have civilians on the trial boards, and we fought for it, as you well know, in Annapolis, have been fighting for it for the last 2 years, and I've said this to the head of the the criminal justice committees in Annapolis that this is essential for Baltimore City. If we're going to create the kind of transparency, if we're going to build the relationships that we need to build with our police department, that having civilians on the trial boards, I think, is a step in the right direction. So whether it's through this contract or back in Annapolis again, it is something, in my opinion, that is essential.
Why would you be willing to accept a contract with police that didn't include a civilian member on the review board? Well,
we've not had a contract with the police department for years, and what I'm interested in making sure that we have transparency. The FOP, the police commissioner, the guys on the street and ladies on the street, I mean, you're dealing with several entities here. And I don't think it's important to accept a contract without it, but I do want a contract that moves our police department forward. But again, I'm confident that we can either get it this way, and I've made it very clear. I mean, we've been fighting on this since I've been here, and we're in our 10th month, and we still don't have a contract.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, there was an officer in the Salt Lake City Police Department who was fired because of the way he handled a nurse in the emergency room who was resisting having this officer take blood from a patient. And it happened 2.5 months ago. It took 2.5 months to fire him. We are 2.5 years past the death of Freddie Gray. And I know what we hear in the communities all the time, which is the lack of any decision that looks to hold anybody to account. Is that, what do you tell the public about that?
Well,
in this city,
I think that's why we're under a consent decree. I mean, the consent decree came about because of the interactions between the police department, the lack of trust by communities, and I do believe that this consent decree lays out a framework that will improve the relationship between the police department and the community. You know, whether it is through increasing the number of police officers who live in our city, who look like people who live in various communities, and I think you see that happening. You know, we've got 181 officers or individuals who are in the police department now at different stages. That's more than ever since 2004, and a greater increase of African Americans and other minorities currently in that group of folks, and people who are living in the city. So I believe that while we are addressing some of the issues as it relates to the consent decree, that the cultural diversity training that needs to take place, the technology and all of those things will help us transform the police department. I know that there is this lack of trust that exists in the community, but I also know that there are changes taking place in the community with the police department. I see it. I've worked with the police department. I'm working in communities. So, I mean, again, I don't think this stuff happens overnight, but I believe that we will transform, and that through this consent decree that we will have a better police department and a better relationship with the community.
So, Madam Mayor, would you be willing to accept a police contract that does not include a civilian member on the...
I haven't gotten to that bridge yet.
Mayor,
would you get to that bridge? Would you
I'll let you know.
Today, it's possible today is the last meeting of the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, after Governor Hogan pulled the money from it and gave it to your administration. What do you think about that, and what will you use the $200,000?
Well, I think Drew can talk a little bit about that, but let me just say, $200,000, we're grateful. You know, it's not a lot of money. But I'm certain that we'll find constructive ways to use it. This will be the last meeting, at least, that we'll probably be attending. I'm sure that there'll be other meetings that will subsidize some of those folks and some of that information, because there is a relationship with parole and probation that is important to us. And there are some folks, public safety, that are sitting around the table that are important to us as we transform our police department, as we continue to develop a relationship with the state. As you well know, that many of those folks sitting around the table are state officials, and we need their assistance, and we will continue to call upon them. Did you want to add anything?
No, I think that's right. As the mayor said, we want to be very thoughtful with how we use that $219,000. So we're currently working on a proposal for that. We've already had several conversations with the governor's office about it. I think everybody around the table shares the same goals, which is to reduce violence in Baltimore City. And so what we're thinking through is setting up a structure, using those funds to support it, where we're still coming together on a regular basis, reviewing crime, talking about intelligence, sharing information, and things along those lines.
Can
you talk a little bit to the new Board of Estimates, $59,000 for the partnership with the Baltimore Casino and local development. What exactly is that, and how does it relate to criminal justice, to the criminal justice offices? A little bit confused about that.
Can you state your name and title?
Which is that?
No, I'm asking about the Baltimore Core program, or the Baltimore Core Fellowship program that you talked, that's here in relation to the Baltimore Casino, and it says it's in agreement with the mayor's office of criminal justice.
Yeah.
So just wondering what the program is and
Yeah.
how it's going to help
So,
violence.
Baltimore Core is a fantastic nonprofit organization in Baltimore City whose mission is to attract talented young people to work in government and private sector and nonprofit throughout Baltimore. And there are a number of Baltimore Core fellows. They've had, I think they're on their 4th or 5th class of fellows. And there are fellows working all through Baltimore City right now. I know that multiple city agencies have brought in people through the Baltimore Core program. So we have a fellow who just began with the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to do community organizing in the casino fund impact area. So we get some of those casino funds to invest in the community. So what we've done is brought in a Baltimore Core fellow to be a community organizer in those communities. Yeah.
And one more. This week was Columbus Day. What do you want to see done with the smashed Columbus monument?
Fixed.
Fixed and just talk about rededicating it. Who should we rededicate it to?
We are working with CHAP and others on that. We have a committee that's looking at all of that. As soon as I get all that information, I'll share it with you.
When said the bike share program was supposed to start on Sunday? I'm just wondering if you have any updates on what that's going
Bike share?
and that's happening.
We'll have to get you information. The director was unavailable to be with us this morning.
Soon and very soon.
Do we know if it'll actually start on Sunday?
I don't know if it'll start on Sunday, but soon. Okay?
Can I ask a bike question? I'm in New York over the weekend, and they have a huge bike share program. They don't have these, divided bike lanes.
They don't.
No.
I know. I've been in New York.
Right, they just have chain
People,
lines.
that's right. I've seen it.
And you're on your own.
You're on your own.
Okay? So, no, seriously.
No.
That's part of the deal, right? So, that seems to be a big hang-up in the city of Baltimore. What caused the controversy on Potomac Street, I think this is what caused the controversy, was taking the street and completely reconfiguring it.
I agree.
With this guardrail bike lane. So going forward, what would you like to see this bike network look like?
Well, first of all, I think you have to have some conversation with the folks who live in those neighborhoods. You know, I know that on Potomac Avenue, you got young people who've moved in, you've got seniors who've lived there for decades, and I went down that particular street, and I think what caused the controversy was around the fire trucks. We have fire trucks of a certain size. And I can tell you, even riding in our SUV, you've got to maneuver to get down that street. So my hope going forward, as we have done, is have conversations with the people in those neighborhoods, in the communities. I think you have to have agreement with the folks who live there. And I think that we need to look at best practices around the country, what's working. And I agree with you, I don't see those all the stuff that we have going on in big cities like New York and even in DC. Not like we're doing it. I mean, they do have bike routes, but I see folks, riding through the street at risk with their children on the back of their bikes. But we want a good program because we realize that people are using them. We don't want people stealing our bikes, the electric ones, but we want folks to use them, and we want people to get more healthy and get fit-free in Baltimore. Thank you. Yes.
Just one more question. I know the Baltimore Marathon is next weekend. What sort of security measures has your team put in place?
Okay. So let me just say, we've got security measures in place, and I'm going to say to you the same thing that the Stadium Authority said. We got security measures in place. I'm not going to tell you where all the security measures are, because then they would no longer be safe if I'm yelling it out to the public. But we do have security in place, and we're very cautious. We're not letting up on police security. There are certain ways that you check in. There's limited things that you can bring with you. So those kinds of things are taking place, but we've got full security. Okay?
All right, folks.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So Coleman's this weekend, back in the city.
All right, everybody, pink, 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 pink. Pink it down. Are y'all walking? Running? Running?
Walking on Saturday.
You'll be walking on Saturday, but not at Coleman. Come on. You're not on Team Pugh? Seriously? Okay, all right.
But you'll be there.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you. What's done, this settlement presentation, I want to go about it. Mr. Davis, with the settlement involving the police officer today, you had a situation where an officer thought a man was armed, no gun was found on the man. I mean, when you have a case like that, I mean, how does the city handle a case like that? When a police officer says, oh, I shot a guy because he's armed, but then you find out the guy didn't actually have a weapon on him.
We conduct a very thorough investigation and discover all the facts that are accessible to us, and we make an assessment about what is the best way to resolve the case.
Is there any disciplinary action being taken on this officer?
You know, I don't know the answer to that.
You should check in with the police department about it.
Yeah.
Could I just ask you, I mean, just what I asked the mayor before about, I mean, as I read state law on this issue of who's entitled to know what happens as a result of a trial board, the complainant has that right. If the Baltimore Police Department is the complainant and you're the boss, can't you tell the police department to make it public? I mean, that's
As the mayor said, we're taking a look at it, but as you all know, police officers have super due process. And frankly, it's a very difficult job. And so they have statutory protections that really no other employee or person really in America has, frankly. And they have these protections, so we're looking at it.
We're looking at it.
Thank you.
We're looking at it.
Thank you.